So do y'all remember that Uwabami deck that I talked about in the first webcam weekly video that I decided not to play? Well, I just got out of this week's webcam weekly and I played it. And your boy went undefeated. Let's go! Granted, was it a clean win? By no means. In round 1, my opponent bricked game 2. In round 2, my opponent had to leave. After beating me in game 1, he had to dip. So, could we have won it? Maybe, but he had to leave. And then I got pretty lucky in round 3. But does the score sheet say 3-0? Yeah, it does. And that's what matters. So I figured, it was about time I profiled my patented Uwabami Funny Punch deck. A more of a traditional deck profile for y'all, because I just got out of this. I don't feel like editing it very much. And, maybe people like this form of deck profile more. When I actually have the deck, I can actually do these physical profiles and not have to bust out the green screen, even though we love the green screen. Like, the green screen's hilarious. Don't get me wrong. But let's talk about the deck, all right? So obviously, like, when I was building this deck, everyone was like, pick your favorite character. And I was like, well, my favorite character is Kendo. She has 1 card. So I was forced to look for a different character that could play her card. So the character I landed on was Uwabami, because she plays Funny Punch so exceptionally well. So what she does is that at the start of my rival's end phase, I add a card from our card pool to our hand. So that's great. She's all about recycling. And then, as an enhance, I can remove 3 cards from our discard pile. Our next printed 3 damage attack we try to play gets a -1 difficulty and +1 damage. And our final enhance is a once per turn, our turn, we get to add a printed 3 damage attack from our discard pile to our hand. So, a lot of looping things. And what better thing to loop than 4 focused attack, right? So yeah, we're playing her under the life symbol, because that's the only symbol that she shares with Uwabami, but this is the main card of our deck. Focused attack, otherwise colloquially known as Funny Punch, my favorite card in the game. It's a 6 mid for 3 with a 1 mid block, nothing great, but it is a punch with combo mid-attack, mid-attack. And its combo enhance is that it gets +3 damage for each printed mid-attack in our card pool. So this thing gets huge. The idea is mono mid strings. We're trying to play a ton of mid attacks, capping it off with a humongous focus attack to OTK some decks and try to chip down others. Depends on what their hand size and health pool is. But this is like the 7-hander killer. If they're like 20 life, we're killing them, right? It also has this deadlock enhance where we can commit 3 rival foundations and it gets +X damage, or X equals to the total printed difficulty of the committed foundations. This never comes up. No one is going to build into deadlock against this deck because either they're a fool or they're already dead. So the deadlock enhance probably is never going to come up. I gotta fix my hair, I look ridiculous. Some more fun facts. It's printed 3 damage, which means that during our turn, if we find one of these in our discard pile, we just get to add it back. Which means that effectively, when we're doing our opening, like playing foundations, if we check this, it's effectively now in our hand. So finding it super easy. And with Uwabami's response, since we get to add cards back to our hand from our card pool, we're able to use this +1 mid block to block if like exceptionally well, and then just grab it back. Or if we don't want to grab it back, we block with the super awesome 1 mid block, let it die, and then on our next turn, grab it back. So looping this card is just a piece of cake. But how are we getting to Funny Punch? How are we Funny Punching them? You see, the thing with Funny Punch is it's great, but we need a lot of mids to back it up. We need a lot of cards to come before Funny Punch. And that's where the Funny Punch theory comes in, right? The Funny Punch theory is you need 3 cards. Normally, a normal like Funny Punch string is like 3 cards, sometimes 4, right? But you got 3 cards. You need a starter, you need a mid card, you need a second, and then you have the Funny Punch to cap it off, right? So let's start with the starters. These are the attacks we are playing first, the first attacks of our turn. Our first one is one of my favorites, Back Alley Haymaker, at a 4 of. Boy, do I love this card, and boy, do people hate it. I understand why they hate it, but man, I love it. This card is so good to just lead with. We start our turn, we drop this, we get a stun 2, and we draw a card. We get to commit their foundation so they can't block the Funny Punch, and we get to dig for even more Funny Punches and pieces. It's like, I don't know what really more to say about this card besides it's crazy. We just play it, draw a card, stun 2, replaces itself. Like, it's so nice. For Back Alley Haymaker, pretty much a given. We're playing life and punches and mids. It's a life punch mid. It's perfect. On our last starter is 3 reverse throw. So something important about the starters is what they're meant to do is they're meant to bait blocks, right? We don't want them just tanking a bunch of pokes and then saving up to block the Funny Punch. So what we want to be able to do is if, say they're just holding to block the Funny Punch, we want to be able to do some stuff instead, right? Not eat into it. So the thing about starters that makes them good is that we're able to play them as our only attack for the turn and feel good about it. Reverse throw is phenomenal at this, because well, it's a throw, right? It's a punch, 2 mid for 5. With an enhance that says if this attack deals 5 or more damage, we draw a card. The reason this card is fantastic is because it baits out blocking, right? So when we play this card, one of two things happens. Either A, what we want them to do is block it, right? We want them to block it, maybe take them some throw damage. If they wall clang it, whatever. Hopefully we're getting a little poke in, right? Chip them down. They block it, cool. Block out of their hand. That's +1 difficulty for blocking. It just makes killing them with Focus a Punch that much easier. If they don't do what we want them to do and not block it, we're still chilling. We'll hit them for 5, we'll draw our card so it replaces itself, and then we'll just build out and pass. So an important thing for the starters is being able to just play them, and if they don't block it, just build pass. Both these things do 5 damage, they do a good chunk. If you want to, we can damage pump them, but they both draw us a card if they don't block it, so we're able to just keep card advantage up, build out, pass, stay chilling. Building is very important in this deck. If you try to go ham with not enough foundations, you're gonna die. So we really want to be building out. So this is just a really good card to bait like build turns. Now, for the second card in the Funny Punch combo theorem. Second card needs to do a couple of things. It needs to A, be playable as a second attack relatively easily. We don't want to be committing out all our foundations before we're playing our huge focused attack. Yes, Uwabami can make the focused attack bigger, but that's still only 1 diff, right? We don't want to commit a ton of stuff, so preferably your second attack is a 4 damage move that does something that sets up for the Funny Punch. The card that does this arguably the best is Neck Gun Surprise. Now it is not a punch, but it is a mid, which matters, and it's a printed 3 damage attack, so we can do some Uwabami shenanigans with this, but the important thing is that it says stun 2. It's all that matters. This says stun 2. The response, we can't even use it. Technically we can, but we don't want to remove this because we need the mid in our card pool for Funny Punch. This just says stun 2 on a 4 diff. That's all that matters. And it's on the life symbol. It's also a 2 mid block. It's not bad. Right? So we can block with this, loop it back off of Uwabami if we already have Funny Punches in hand, but this is a great card to go second. Like, one of the ideal combos is just going back alley haymaker, stun 2, draw 1, this on a 5, stun 2. We've now stunned 4 into our Funny Punch. Like, I don't know how you're blocking that, right? Making it very difficult to block. There are ways with characters and enhances that are icky and stinky, but for the most part, this is trying to stun him out. Set up for the Funny Punch. These are the setup moves. You play him second in the string. The next setup move has a bit of a story behind it, because it's not really a setup move. It's Future Charge. It's 3 Future Charge. What this says, it's a mid, it's a punch, and we draw a card for every copy of Future Charge in our card pool. It replaces itself. So the thing is, this deck is not updated. I built this when set 3 came out and haven't touched it since and didn't order anything for it, so it is locked into set 3. So this is the next best 4 diff mid attack under life that works as a second slot. What it does is it just replaces itself. It is a punch, that's a mid, that's just replaces itself. It helps us dig into combo pieces, or if we just don't find them, we can play this, maybe hit him for some damage, get a card out of their hand, build pass. It's replaced itself. It's really all that matters. It's a mid attack that replaces itself. We prefer to play Neck Gun as our second attack, but if you have to do this, it's fine, right? We keep our cards. That's important. The more ways to draw into double Funny Punch, the better. Because if we just double Funny Punch them, that's how we guarantee kill people. The ideal is we go starter, mid, Funny Punch, and then if we need to, second Funny Punch, and that is normally a guaranteed kill. So that's all the attacks. Let's talk about the foundations. Something you're going to see with these foundations is that all of them just say kill you. We have relatively 0 defensive foundations. They are all geared toward maximizing Funny Punch. First one that does that is Floating Around with My Babies. It is a spam that just says give our attack a damage for free. We do not care about removing cards from our discard pile. I didn't cycle once all night. This deck goes so fast and tries to kill people as quickly as possible. If you're cycling, you're doing something wrong. Or you're playing against like Mineta, right? Or like Mirio. So this card just says we give our thing a damage for free. Speaking of free damage, our next is a 4 of Tight Lipped, which also says give our thing a damage for free. We just flip our committed foundations, which actually matters to have flipped foundations. But yeah, it's just give a thing a damage for free. They're spams, man. What do you want? Speaking of damage, we have Self-Sacrifice. It is a 1 low block, which is actually like fairly important. It's a 1 diff, and it just says we pop a foundation and give something to damage. By the time we've played our Funny Punch, we'll have committed something, right? There's no, you can't, it's physically impossible to just raw check the whole thing. So something's going to be committed, so we'll just blow it up, give ourselves a damage. Seems good. Make punch big. Next one, Note Taking. Fun theme. It flips itself to give our punch 2 speed. Make funny punch fast. This make punch unblockable. Also, there's a bunch of speed reduction that people have. So like being able to give punch speed back is really important. But yeah, extra speed is nice. Also, it's a 1 diff that's a low block. That's important. Another 1 diff that's a low block. High value target. This is how we stay alive. This is our 1 defensive card I have. When committing cards to pass a check for a block, it counts as 2 foundations, so it helps us block really easily, especially with our nice block mods. This deck has some really nasty block mods that we get to Uobami add back at end of turn anyway, so we love blocking. Also, there's a response of if they try to destroy one of like our good foundations, we can pop this instead, so like it helps for that. I didn't encounter any foundation destruction, like targeted foundation destruction, but if it does happen, this is nice to keep our like key foundations alive, because there are some important ones. Speaking of speed, the one card I forgot, the one card out of set 5 I did add because I owned it from buying the overhaul structure deck at a Target, is Experimenting on Quirks. We get to commit it, and if we have 3 or more face-down foundations, which we are flipping a lot, we give our attack +2 speed. So it's another way to get speed. We can also use the first enhance to lose a health, and if it deals nothing, gain 2 for our like early cards, to force people to commit blocks, right? Because people like, I've noticed in this tournament, people really like to block early. They don't save for the funny punch. They just block. So sure, I'm super down to do this, gain our health back and try to stay alive, right? But this helps us make stuff fast, which matters. For our 2 checks, we have an absolutely cracked card under the life symbol. New training method. Just helps us build cards. This card's just absurd. There's no reason, there's no deck specific reason it's in here. It's just that we're playing the symbol and it's really, really good. And it helps us just, we have a lot of 2 checks and stuff. It just helps us build out early because we do need to build a lot in this deck. This deck needs to build a lot. And there aren't a lot of cards that help us do that, so new trading method is one of those. It just helps us get stuff in. Also, the commit and flip isn't bad, right? It gets us a card flipped for experimenting, and then we can add back other foundations that we pick up, hoping maybe to block with. So it's really good. Very good card. We have window shopping. I used to have more copies of this, but it's not that great. What's cool about it is it's a forum where we reveal the top card of our deck and we can play the reveal card as our next forum. This lets us scout for checks to make sure we can pass in our strings. This also maybe helps us find more attacks to do. What I did was today I played Back Alley Haymaker. Then next form I flipped this and found another Haymaker. So I was able to double Haymaker, which is kind of nuts, right? That's kind of insane. The craziest thing I ever did with this was in testing. I went comboed out. I went Haymaker, Stun Tooth card. I went Haymaker, Neck Gun, Funny Punch. And then like say like the Funny Punch doesn't kill them. I flipped this, saw another Funny Punch and played it. So, yeah, this card can sometimes just win you the game randomly, like really randomly. This card will just say win the game, but it's kind of niche. I mainly just use it for scouting for checks to make sure I don't like hit a bunch of dumb 3s, right? That's the main idea. Next up, we have Good Impressions. This is a more recent addition to the deck. I wasn't playing this originally, but I really love this. It's enhanced flip. Our next punch gets -1. It just makes it easier. It just helps stringing out funny punches. I kept finding myself needing to play 2 funny punches back to back. So it's really nice to be able to go Uobami enhance, make it easy, play funny punch on a 6 as our 3rd attack, and then flip this Uobami again, play a 2nd funny punch also on a 6, right? So you can honestly flip this, play it on a 6, hit a 5, commit this, and boom. This card is paid for a 4th funny punch, almost on its own. So yeah, this card's actually like kind of crazy. It's really good and helps us string out. If you couldn't tell, the name of the game was String Out and Kill Them. Last card I'm playing is a 3 check. And boy, do I love this card. You have to be careful with it because it's really hard to use. It's hard to get to work, but if you get it to work, it almost guarantees you in the game because it's first enhance, commit a foundation, your attack gets X speed or X equals your attack's printed speed. Funny Punch's printed speed is 6. So if we play Funny Punch, we just first enhance, commit this in another foundation, and it's 12 speed. For basically free, for kind of free. The only problem is that we have to commit 2 foundations for it at the end of like a 3 attack string. So there's a lot of times where you're actually like not gonna have the foundations to commit for this. It's a little tough, but when you do get it, it's crazy. It's just insane. It's too good to justify cutting, right? I like, as greedy as it is, as much as I would like to cut it, I can't. This card's just sometimes just comes in so absolutely clutch. So Yeah. It's also like, if you realize you don't have enough foundations to do it, it's just good commit fodder for passing checks, right? If you're like, well, I need to commit something. If I commit other stuff, I have to commit a bunch of stuff for this. I have to commit my whole board. I can just commit this instead and keep my stuff up, right? So that's another good thing about it. So yeah, that's a quick look at my Funny Punch deck that I took to a saucy 3-0 finish. Not a great one, you know, not like the cleanest 3-0. There was some luck, a bunch of luck, but you know, the record says 3-0, and that's what matters. And that's clickbait right there. But yeah, let me know if you like this style of profile. If y'all prefer this, I can do this over the green screen ones, but I think the green screen ones are just more fun. This is just because I have the cards physically. It's just I can do this. Plus, we just finished the tournament. So yeah, if you like this, be sure to like, subscribe, comment. Any upgrades you think I should play, let me know. I have a couple in mind from set 5, but if you're like, hey, this card would be really good in your deck, feel free to let me know in the comments. And with that being said, yeah, bye guys. I'll see you later.